Scarborough Fair. Yeah, I just got to um, get myself back in that the six note
Right.
pattern there and all. So I don't know. Let me just I got to I have to
Kind of warm
think my
up. Yeah,
way to
yeah,
start
yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what? You got to do one thing a little differently there. On your right hand, you have to use all three fingers. You're not using your ring finger for that note on the first string. You're trying to play two different strings with your second finger.
Yeah.
And that's making you miss the third note most of the time because you use your second finger on the first string, and then the next note is the third string,
Right.
right? And pretty much because you're not using your third finger for that first note, when you use your second, you then end up playing the second string next instead of the third string, right? So you got to use all three fingers. You got to and not let one finger try to cover two different strings.
Yeah. Um, I know that one intellectually. For whatever reason, this wants to go. So yeah. Okay. Let me try and reset here.
So it's only one note in the whole pattern. It's the one after the bass note. That's the only note this finger plays.
Right. That you do with this. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
There's plenty of time to get there. I know that.
Those first three notes are all open.
There's plenty of time to get there, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I have to look my way there. Okay.
Yeah. When it drops down to that C, right, the next bass note is the C because you're playing the introduction again,
Right.
right?
Right.
So the first thing you do, you've got these two fingers on, right, and you just run through the pattern normally. Then you add your third finger on the fifth fret on the D, right? In the intro, go back to the intro. So you play
Right.
the first measure is just the normal picking pattern. Then you just add your third finger and do the exact same thing. And now just slide your third finger down to C. Get the other fingers out of there. Right.
Oh.
That's all you. Right.
Oh.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think you over-engineered this a little bit somehow.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
another suggestion here is
Yeah.
um, just keep practicing that pattern without even changing chords. That your right hand, this has to become subconscious. That you're doing that pattern without even thinking about what notes are playing and stuff. It has to get really automatic,
Yeah.
so that you can think more about the chords and everything else. But so just that pattern, you got to do it like 1,000 times, and then it should be. Then you should not be able to mess it up.
Well. Okay. Okay.
Much better. Yeah. One more thing. So as that gets more comfortable, I wouldn't even practice the introduction as much as just running through these two chords back and forth, right? The two main ones, and even first, like I was just suggesting, just play this pattern 1,000 times over that chord, and maybe even try to speed it up once it's feeling okay, and then stop and take a break, and then start it again like slow, and then maybe try to do it faster. You want to be able to play it faster than it really has to go in the song too. So it's like you don't want to be playing it. You need some headroom here, sort of, in terms of this being comfortable. But an important thing when you start doing the two chords back and forth. On the first chord, the last note is open. So it's going to keep ringing really well as you go put down the next chord, right? And when you come down here, though, the last note is not open. It's a note you've got a finger on the second chord, right? So you got to make sure that you don't leave this too early and play that string open. So this is not there are many times you can let go of something early, and many times when you can get to something very slow and late, because like in this other chord, we got 3 open notes at the beginning, right, on the first chord. But got to make sure on this second one that you hear that last note before you let go of this chord, and you almost shouldn't even let go of this until you've hit the bass note for the next one. I don't know if, let's see how, I don't know how this will transfer over the Zoom here, but pay attention to my last note on the second chord. See, you don't hear it die, you don't hear it decay, because it's really still ringing until I hit the bass note for the next measure. And so, but if I did this, subtle difference, but you could hear it stop, because I took it off just before I hit the bass note. So the bass note in this case masks the letting go of that note. And so that's another really important thing to think about in this. And
it almost sounds like the bass note that follows is part of the same chord.
Yeah.
That was the impression that
yeah, because actually the first and second notes of both chords are the same. It's not till you get to the third note that you even hear a different note.
Right.
So yeah, that's why. Anyway, it's such a cool little thing that he came up with for this. And on one hand seems so simple. Like why doesn't everybody do stuff like this? And on the other, it's brilliant. In its sort of simplicity, but also in its complexity as far as executing it on the guitar.
Right.
Yeah. So, have you started looking through the parts, like the singing parts and some of the other measures?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me. I'll play my way to. Well, here. Yeah. Let me
just start through it. Sure.
Line there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so after do those 2 measures of G again. Just play them by themselves, out of context.
Okay.
Or it's 1 measure of G, I guess.
1 measure of G.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't let go of that bass note. Yeah. This is a similar move to stuff we saw in Vincent, right? I mean, we're just adding notes from a C chord onto our G chord. Okay. So make sure you keep that bass note G has to stay on and keep ringing.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And then in this case, the last note you played is that open G string. That's the very
Right.
last note in the measure, right? And that is also that's kind of like what masks or covers your move back up to the third fret for that chord. So you want to make sure that that last open note comes out loud and clear because you don't want to hear like an instant of silence or a note or
Right.
something getting cut off, right?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Try that again from the G. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and same thing as when in the intro, start playing it without the chord there. You know, it's like hit that bass note. And that would be another good thing you could practice is just letting go of the G chord and making sure you play that bass note. Well, and you're like on your way to the chord, but hit that bass note, you know, because it has to be there wherever your left hand is, and you know,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
no restarting at the beginning of that measure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
that was great. Now you can hear you can. Okay, that was too long of it. No, you waited too long.
Yeah.
You waited too long on that bass note.
Okay.
Hit that bass note right on time.
Okay.
You're thinking about you're thinking about your left hand too early. Don't even think about your left hand right there. Hit that A in the bass, and don't even be thinking about going to the chord.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Now you're still thinking about your left hand. Busted.
I'll get it. Okay. Too late.
Still too late. Don't even look at your left hand right now. Just
There we go.
yeah. Yeah. That's it. Now, that's okay. You just missed it. Okay, now try to play two notes, which would be the bass note and then the open. They're both open. The bass note and then the first string, and still don't put your left hand on at all. Just get your left hand out of the picture, and try to play the first two notes. That's it. Try to do that right after the G.
Okay.
Nice. Now is when you can start thinking about your left hand.
Okay.
After you've played those two notes.
Okay.
Because you still have one more open note. We still got a buffer coming up here.
Yeah.
You know? But after you've played those first two notes, then think about putting down these two fingers.
Okay.
Or even just think about putting one of them down, because you need your second finger first.
Yeah, that one.
Right. So that's the target finger, or the target, you know,
Right. Right.
that you're, yeah, okay. Not bad, yeah. So anyway, that's the path that you got to take.
Okay. Okay, and just build through that with that. Okay.
Yeah. And going on, what happens next? Pretty soon we've got a C chord coming up, right?
Right. We got a C chord that comes out of it comes out of then it comes out of that.
Yeah.
Oh, then an A minor. Okay.
It's a regular A minor there, right?
Yeah, regular A minor. Yeah.
Yeah.
In here. Okay. So so
That-
we go.
Is there a bass run up to the C, or does that happen later?
That happens later.
Okay, all right. So we just hit this C square out of the A chord that we've been on.
Right.
Okay, right. So that shouldn't be too difficult. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And it's the exact right. Yeah, and isn't there another note on that D chord? Or is it just is there only nothing happens on the third beat in that measure?
Oh, you mean this? The
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah. And then it's back to the riff, right? I mean back to the
That's back to, yeah.
yeah. Good. Okay, yeah. So that measure's not too difficult. You just gotta it's just a quick change from C to D, one beat
Yeah.
each, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so it's two grabs on the D?
yeah, 2 grabs on the D.
Right. Okay.
But there's a
Let me get the music up. Yeah. Hang on a
yeah,
second.
because I don't yeah, there's a sharp symbol up there that I don't understand. It doesn't translate into the tab down there.
Oh. Ah. Okay, let me look. Where are we here?
The way that
Okay.
I find it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So it doesn't. It's still the right note. See, we're in the key. If you look at the key signature here, we're in the key that has no sharps and flats,
Right.
right?
See, right.
But to go to a D chord, we have to have a sharp in there, right? See, D has F sharp in it.
Okay.
So that's why in the notation there's a sharp on the D on the note on the top line.
Okay.
But it doesn't. But in the tablature, that's taken care of automatically. It's just the note at the second fret,
Ah, okay.
right?
Okay.
Yeah. And now, oh no, let me see. Yeah, that's all. Yeah. And what is that? Okay, right. Yeah. So that measure is just a grab on the C and two grabs on the D,
Right.
and then right back to our main little riff. Yeah. Okay, then we're in the measure that has the walk up to the C. Now we're on the second page, right?
Yes.
And so you go back to that first chord, but we don't finish it.
Right. Right. We just do
Yeah. And so that's just a normal pattern on the C chord. Do you hear what that all sounds like? I mean, or how that's supposed to sound, that walk up to the C? Here it is. It's very quick bass notes because see they're just at the same pace of all the other eighth notes that we've been
right.
playing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you bail on that chord, or you're going to let go of that chord up at the third fret, and then luckily the note you play on the fourth fret, the last note you play before you hit the A and the bass again, it's convenient that the A is open, so you have plenty of time to move your hand to get down to grab that B coming in on the last beat.
Oh.
In other words, you don't have to let go of the 4 early because the note that starts the run is open.
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we're going from
Right. Okay.
right?
Yep, that's it. But it's twice that fast. That's kind of the speed of quarter notes, what you played that at. Listen again. So your thumb hasn't had to move this fast anyplace else in the song yet.
Okay. Okay.
Or your left hand either, really, I think.
Okay.
That was it, though. You were going to try it at the right speed. That was perfect. Right. And then, go ahead, one more time. Try it again.
Let me do that one more. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have the same kind of bonus here on the C chord that we have on this A13, on the A up the neck, in that the next two notes on the C chord are open. So your right hand just has to keep playing while you got plenty of time to get the rest of the C down. Yeah, that was great. Make sense? Yeah. Now, this next measure has 3 pinches in it that are all pairs of notes, plus the open G played after every one, right?
Right. Right.
So just do that. Now, the first pinch is really easy because it's the C that you're already holding down, right? And then skip the. Don't worry about that next note yet. Let's just look at the 3 pinches. Figure out what your left hand's going to do for this. Okay, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. Yeah. Okay. Practice that run by itself, just so that your left hand has all the moves down. Try it again. Yeah. Again, that was great. Good. Yeah. Do it backwards now, starting on the G, starting where you ended, and go up to C.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You've heard that in lots of songs. This set of notes. Here are 2. It's the same sets of notes that you hear in that. You also heard it in this. So it's just a bass run connecting G and C, going straight up or down the scale, whichever way we're going,
Right.
with a harmony note. The harmony notes are all the same distance away. So when we play that C in the bass,
Yeah.
what other note are we playing with it?
We're playing E.
So what's that interval?
That would be a third.
Yeah. And then they both go down a scale, meaning you play 4 consecutive thirds here. You've got C and E, B and D, so each note just went down
Yeah.
to the next note in the scale. So it's like they don't necessarily go down the same distance because we got the half steps and the whole steps can get moved around in spots.
Right.
But all the notes are in the key, so some of these thirds are what we would call major thirds and some are minor thirds. But it doesn't matter. It's just there because, and it sounds so good because this is like one of the essence things of harmony. Is if we're gonna sing something in harmony, a lot of times we're gonna sing notes that are a third apart.
Right.
And that's exactly what this run does on the guitar. Is it's playing 2 notes that are thirds, whether it's from G up or C down.
Okay.
Slow down, you move too fast. Got to make the morning last. That was the whole song, was that set of thirds in 59th Street Bridge, too.
Right. Okay.
So, anyway, so my suggestion here is practice this. And I mean, you've got this in pretty good shape. It looks you've done this type of move before, I think. But also, the last compounding issue of it in Scarborough Faire is right. So it's right. So it's after each pinch, you got to just come in with the open G.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in Blackbird, you mentioned you played a little bit of Blackbird there.
Uh-huh.
Blackbird, it's the same thirds, but in a different order.
It goes from G towards C. But it doesn't go to C then. It goes all the way up the neck.
Goes all the way up, yeah. Well,
Yeah, to there. Yeah. Right. So we're not doing Blackbird capoed at the 7th. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Did we work on Blackbird?
Oh yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And the other unusual thing about Blackbird though is that you play that open G string with your thumb.
With your thumb.
Right. So we're doing it. This time we're not, and it's because it's the way it works in most songs. You don't use your thumb up there on the 3rd string.
Right.
Except if you're John Prine, who does it all the time. So,
Right. Right.
So
yeah, well, that's what I was thinking when I first looked at this. I recognized the fact that that and that and that were things that I had played in Blackbird.
Yeah.
I did see that. I did see
Good.
that. But the my thumb actually wanted immediately to go there.
Right. That's from Blackbird, I
I
think.
wanted to Blackbirdize it, I guess.
Yeah.
You know. So.
Right. And I think what happens next, let me look at it, because now, yes, now you come in with a note, with another note with your thumb. Now your thumb comes in and plays the D string after that pinch on the G.
Yeah.
Right. Now, same deal here. Don't let go of the G in the bass while you do that C bounce.
The timing though is those are eighth
The
notes.
first two are eighths and the next two are quarters, right?
Right. Oh.
Oh, that was going to be it, though. Yeah, and that's why we left the G on in the bass, because
Right.
you're going to play it again. Actually, more importantly than you're going to play it again, we want it to keep ringing. We got to hear that bass note underneath everything the whole time anyway.
Okay.
So yeah, and it probably makes it easier to hang on to that bass note rather than anyhow. But okay, so you got that.
Yeah.
Okay, and now we have just a normal measure of our second A chord, right? And then we have another G chord. Careful, careful, careful. Notice the quarter notes at the end of that measure, that G measure. Yeah. Too fast, too fast.
Too fast?
Yeah. See, the third note is a quarter note too, so it'd be
Oh,
1 and
wait.
2, 3.
1 and 2, 3.
Careful, careful. You're not getting the fifth string. You're getting the wrong bass note. You got your thumb has to play the fourth string on that pinch.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back off, right? Then the notes are open. Yeah.
Is that the way you play that?
Well, so this is going to be a quick hammer on and pull off of those same two notes.
Right.
Still with the G on in the bass, because we're going to play the G again. So here's the timing on that. One more time. One more time. I'll count through it too, because that hammer on pull off, they're all even. They take up one beat total. It's a triplet eighth note, which means the three of them it takes up one beat. So the timing in that measure is 1, 2, 3. That bass note comes in on 3. 1, 2, 3. Except that I would have had the G on in there. So from the beginning of the measure before, we have. Let me look at it one more time. Yeah, okay. So what we have is this. At this speed, 1 and 2 and 3 and. Then we're back into that. Okay. So it is tricky timing that hammer on pull off and not doing it too fast or too slow, because it's.
Yeah. Is the hammer on pull off the triplet?
Mm-hmm.
Which notes are actually the two?
The first one. So the pinch is on beat 2.
Okay.
Right? So in that measure, on beat 1, you have the first pinch, the 2 open notes.
Right.
And that's a quarter note.
Right.
And so whatever happens when a note gets played is always determined by the value of the previous note.
Right.
It has nothing to do with what kind of note it is.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So that first note is a quarter note. Whatever happens next happens on 2. And so that's where the triplet starts, and then splits that. It takes up the whole second beat. Yeah. Yeah. Great. That was it. You hear it? You feel that? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You see that. Okay. Okay. And then,
That is really good because there's a lot of tricky, subtle things in this song, and I think you have a good grip on all of them.
okay.
Especially now. I mean, now that we got that measure, hopefully under control.
Yeah, and that measure, but also the C
Right.
C walk down. That one to get that.
Careful, wrong. Gotta get the fourth string in the bass there.
Oh,
That's the quick one. And wait, no, and then the next two are quarter notes. So that was the first two were eighth notes, and the next two are quarters. Right.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Did I I probably didn't do this last time when we talked about this. I didn't just play through the whole song all the way through, kind of, so that you have a recording of that, did I?
No, you didn't.
You want me to, let me do that.
Okay.
I'll have to flip the page here part way through. But so here we go. Yeah, just one time through it, and like much slower than the original. So we have this right from the top. Now I'd be at the beginning of the singing, second line. Okay, then the next page. One thing I think I forgot to tell you, and you might have noticed as I was doing these two chords back and forth, that when I move from this one, from the one at the third fret to the one at the second fret, my second finger stays on the fourth string the whole time. So when I go from there and move it down, I stay in contact with that string, and the same thing when I'm moving it back up, I stay in contact with it. So I've been telling you, you can have everything off and start that chord at the top, but actually you should never have everything off. That your second finger should always be in contact with the fourth string. Yeah, it's funny how stuff like that occurs to me then when I play through the whole thing. It's like I'm watching you do this stuff, and then I play it and I say, oh, I didn't even tell him that. So but yeah.
So for reference then, around what you just played, the words to this start, the RU begins.
Yeah, you know what? Let me try to sing a verse. So that starts on the second line.
Right.
Okay? Because there are some pauses in there, right? So skipping the intro, if I just take up the singing, I'm in the second line. Are you going to Scarborough Faire? Now the parsley starts right after the C. Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. Nothing in here. Remember me to the one who lives there. She once was a true love of mine. that help a little bit, maybe?
Yeah. Yeah. That's okay. That's.
Yeah, there are. It's a couple of tricky spots where the words come in.
Yeah.
The trickiest one, I think, is the remember.
Yeah.
Remember me. Because you have to get the re in the syllable in the measure before. It's a pickup. So the syllable mem of a remember is the first measure of the second page.
Okay.
So, and you've just done these 4 measures, or twice through this pair of measures, with nothing going on, but you have to start the re right here. Remember me.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the trickiest spot of where to start the words.
Okay. 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 Great.
Okay.
Great. That's
Hey, I don't know if you noticed, but I just put up a lesson on illegal smile because of what you and I were talking about. I thought, I've got a few other John Prine songs up there, and I generally don't go too explicitly into like exactly how he picked something because he does it kind of differently all the time, but he's got a couple of main habits, and like Illegal Smile starts with a note before the first bass note. So I forget what key where he was capable. Probably at the third. Right?
You're doing the 5th.
We did the 5th on that.
Yeah.
So anyway, you should take a look at the. After you and I talked about it, I did. There's a whole lesson with all the tablature to at least some of the picking. I don't show all of it because a lot of it doesn't matter. But in many of his songs, the very first thing he does is kind of distinctive, and you can tell the difference between like that song and actually one that I'm gonna record today and put up next week is like, see if you can even tell which one this is. So, but it's the same type of thing. How he picks that out in that's a hello in there, right?
Yeah.
And at the very beginning of that, he does this same thing where he starts with a note before the first bass note. So there's like a pickup note.
Yes.
And then in hello in there's a pinch of this high note on the third beat. And then there's a hammer-on the A minor. So anyway, so I tabbed out that whole intro to that because on some of the lessons I've done of his, people complain that it's like I didn't show exactly what he did. I explained how he picks and things like that, and again, he's very very caveman in his picking. He doesn't do anything really fancy. He just does stuff that's really relatively easy for him. Oh, but in Illegal Smile, so he's picking it and doing that hammer-on that we saw Seth Avett do, the hammer-on the G and the bass, right? And it is kind of tricky getting the hammer-on in there because while he's doing that, he's playing a melody note with his finger in between there's a finger being played at the same time as the hammer-on's happening down, and so it's mechanically a little confusing sometimes. But that's the kind of thing that was just easy. So you could take a look at that tab, or I could send it to you.
Yeah. So it's finger picked up.
Yeah.
Picked.
Yeah. So he.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah. And so it's probably, at least for you, it's probably going to be much easier to play his version, with the fingers, because it's more like this than the really rapid picking, flat picking that Seth is doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so take a look at that one this week too, if you.
I will.
Yeah.
And I think so. I will definitely take a look at that. And if I was going to pick out either Homeward Bound or The Boxer or which one of those would be a? Let me take a
look. One thing about The Boxer that gets intimidating is let me look at Homeward Bound first. Is the very beginning. That is really hard, to do it at that speed, and you totally don't need to do it. It's like it. I mean, it's just how the record started. With this really rapid picking thing, and then the rest of it is just the main, keeping a C going down here, and what I call almost just generic picking in here. You can almost play everything with no pinches. And all I'm doing here is randomly playing a finger after every bass note. Mm-hmm. Or you could do like what I talked about before, grabbing the chord on second beats. And an important thing on the C chord is you alternate down to G in the bass on the third beat. So the pattern for C would be this, moving your third finger, down to G all the time. And then in many of the measures we have, whenever C is going to A minor, we hear C to B to A. So if I were to play through a little of that, we'd have something like this. I'll slow it down. I am just a poor boy, though my story's seldom told. I have sworn. Also, and I can't remember which way he does it because this could vary. When you're putting a B in the bass, passing from C to A minor, it could either be on the third beat of the measure, in which case I just play another fourth string as the fourth bass note, or it could be the fourth beat of the measure, where I do this then. Okay? And I forget which way he does it, but it's probably that one. It's probably the quicker one because it sort of follows the words better. I am just a poor boy, though my story's seldom told. I have squandered my resistance. G7 pocket full of mumbles, such are promises. There's another walk down to the A minor right here. All lies and jest. That one sounds like it should be on the third beat to me. All lies and jest, still a man hears. But and I think the tablature that I have in that lesson, I did not do. Just looking at it, I'm thinking I never would have done this. I probably stole it from someplace and just put it in the lesson. And then in the lesson, I talk about don't waste your time memorizing these 6 pages of tablature. So the more useful thing in that song is the chart that I have, just showing you the chord progression with the words and stuff, and then kind of understanding the idea of finger picking it and making it your own. I mean, not worrying about doing every measure exactly right. What I tell people many times with a song like that is, if you're trying to learn the lead to Stairway to Heaven or Sultans of Swing or something like that, say you're wasting your time learning it from top to bottom and memorizing it, like you're going to be like you're in a Jimmy Page tribute band or something, or Mark Knopfler. But when you hear something really cool that they did, go find that lick, learn that lick, put that in your toolbox. With Mark Knopfler. That's something we hear him do in a lot of songs. That's worth learning.
Yeah.
And the next one. From Sultans of Swing. But if you listen to 10 different live versions, he does some of those signature licks in there, but the rest of it is all, it changes it every time. So that's kind of my philosophy with the Boxer too. Now Homeward Bound, let me take a quick look at it. I think I just about had it here. Where's my homewards? H-O. There we go. Oh yeah, so in my lesson on this, I don't even show any of the picking, I just show the bass notes. So there's like a little opening. So this says 3rd fret on this one, which is where they did it. We have this thing. And then you mostly hear the bass. Oh no, wait. Don't sing the Boxer here, Neil, Sitting in a railway station, got a ticket for my destination. On a tour of one night stands, my goes to F next. Suitcase and guitar in hand, and every shot stops neatly planned for a poet and a one-man band. Homeward bound, I wish I was homeward bound. Home where my thoughts escaping home, where my music's playing home, where my love lies waiting silently for me. Yeah, so like I have hardly any of that written down except the bass notes and the couple of specific little things, the fast little runs. But so I guess I'd encourage you to take a look at both of them, but then maybe prioritize them and see how difficult either one seems, and then we'll talk about them next time. So.
Okay, great, good.
Okay.
Plenty to work on.